course, when you're working out, one of the keys is you want to push yourself as much as possible, but at the same time, you want to make sure not to overexert yourself. So I'm just going to finish up my workout here, and then we're pretty much done. Couple more, Darren. In East Windsor, Joey Waller, News 12, New Jersey Sports. Now, just consider combining the brutality of regular dogfighting with the confines of being in a trunk. I'm in the fetal position just to fit inside here. Needless to say, it's dark, it's cramped, and frankly, just being in here for a few seconds is scary, so imagine a dog being stuck inside, fighting for his life. If you're going to take on the world champ, you better have the right strategy. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. That's why he's the champ. And when I tuned in, perfect time to tune in. They were playing the touch football. And so here's Cosell doing the play-by-play, and he says, here's Tom Selleck throwing for Charlene Tilton of Dallas. Incomplete. Perhaps Charlene still distracted by her earlier spill in the kayak competition.
That's great.
You know?
That is amazing.
You know, for my abs, to be honest with you, I pretty much, what I do is I lay down and I do a sit-up, right? And I hold a bottle of Devotion vodka right here, and I do crunches, you know what I'm saying, just like that. No, but actually, it really comes down to, I hold my stomach in almost like a posture, pretty much 24/7. And it's a technique that models and bodybuilders, and only a few know, how to really, you know, flex and show your stomach. And it's pretty much a technique I've learned for many, many years. This is a present from me to you, and, you know, thanks for having me.
And, of course, if I drink this, you're telling me I'm going to get this, right?
Oh, I'm not guaranteeing anything.
You've gone more than 40 innings now, amazingly, without allowing a single earned run. I think the last time you allowed one, you were clean-shaven, right?
Oh, I don't know about clean shaven. I've had a beard for a while, but hopefully we can go 40 more.
The fact that you throw the knuckleball makes your fingernails significant, obviously, and I know that in the past you've broken them a couple of times. What are we going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? Because that's the last thing we need right now, right? And the world's top golfers are here in Paramus preparing for the Barclays this week at Ridgewood Country Club. Rain on Tuesday making it more difficult for newly divorced Tiger Woods to hit on anything. Any golf balls, that is. Golf balls, people, come on. Oh, so immature here in the studio. Get your mind out of the gutter, will you? Dr. Paul Keel's athletic resume would have been impressive had it stopped at age 60. But it's what this senior has been achieving in the 20 years since that's most eye-opening. For most 80-year-olds, taking a walk is sufficient exercise. But on this summer morning, Paul Keel of Far Hills is preparing for the annual Swim Around Manhattan. Completely circling the island, totaling 28.5 miles, will be co-ed relay teams of 4 swimmers, none older nor more passionate than Keel. You have to see Dave Hopwood to believe his uncanny accuracy shooting a basketball. In fact, it's amazing there isn't more hoopla over hopla. About a dozen kids are attending basketball camp in this basement of Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Ridgewood. Hardly where you'd expect to find the world's greatest shooter. Skeptical? Well, Dave Hopla rarely ever hits the rim, much less misses. He's a 55-year-old, 5'10", Pied Piper of Swish. What an unlikely pair. Joe Carini, the vivacious trainer to many sports stars, and Sean Needham, who's low-key and physically challenged, but together they're proving to be a life-changing combination. At House of Iron in Pine Brook, Sean Needham far outlifts everyone, relatively speaking. Considering this Madison native was born carrying the weight of the world, suffering from cerebral palsy.
Ready, one step at a time.
Joey Waller joining us right now, and this is interesting. Yogi Berra, a romantic.
Sure.
Who would have known?
Yeah, that's why we're here. It's a News 12 New Jersey exclusive. More than 6 decades ago, Yogi Berra was writing love letters while courting his eventual wife, Carmen. And when those letters recently resurfaced, well, as Yogi would say, yes, it was deja vu all over again. If the Babe were alive, even he would call America's love affair with Yogi Berra Ruthian. But before winning a record 10 World Series, this Hall of Famer was winning the heart of his wife of 63 years, Carmen, a courtship fueled by love letters from the former Yankee catcher, now displayed at the Yogi Berra Museum at Montclair State University. I guess Carmen found them.
We always knew that there were love letters, but she wouldn't make them public. It was very difficult to get them away from her, and we convinced her that they would have a lot of meaning for people.
My first reaction just looking at them was, what outstanding penmanship for a man who didn't go past the 8th grade.
From sons Dale, Tim, and Larry, the Berras have 11 grandchildren. The eldest is Yogi Berra, a native of Montclair, her grandparents' longtime home. This senior writer for ESPN The Magazine has the athletic Berra genes, and Lindsay says to old number 8, Carmen is number 1.
I think it's pretty amazing that the letters led to 63 years of marriage. I think it's amazing that my grandmother saved them after all these years. And I think it's really cool that we get to look at them, and so many people that come in here get to look at them and see what that kind of relationship is like.
Yogi's letters were written in 1948, the year before the Berras married, some on hotel stationery. One says, "I will always love you as long as I live. There'll never be another girl but you. I can't sleep nights because I'm always thinking of you, darling." In another, Yogi writes, "I can't wait to see you. Honey, I didn't write to you yesterday. I'm sorry."
My grandpa is nothing if not direct and to the point, and he says what's on his mind. So the fact that that's coming out in those love letters, and the stationery was small, so he didn't have, big pages to write. He had to come out and say it. He is exactly the same at home as he is everywhere else. What you see is what you get with him, and it's one of my favorite things about him.
When Lindsay told Yogi she interviewed a handsome tennis player, Yogi said, "You should date him." Lindsay said, "Grandpa, he dates a swimsuit model." And Yogi said, "You got swimsuits."
If you're talking about the Yogiisms, he talks like that all the time, and you get one, 2, 3, 4 times a day. Dale and Timmy will throw them out. I'll throw them out. My brother will say something, and everyone will say, "Oh, that's a Yogiism."
If a man wrote you handwritten love letters, would that win your heart?
I would probably run for the hills.
Lindsay loved seeing Carmen in this Halloween costume, but says Yogi won't wear one. Asked who he could dress up as, Lindsay says he'd be Yogi. Sounds like a chip off the old Yogiism block.
I had employees in my dealership that really felt that I was making a huge mistake.
While most car dealers are hurting badly in this economy, business is booming here at Brad Benson Mitsubishi Hyundai in South Brunswick, fueled by their local radio commercials starring the dealership's owner, the former Giant offensive lineman. The spots are rather, well, you be the judge.
Last month, we were the number 2 Hyundai dealer in the country. But hey, I want to be number 1, so I'm giving up sex until we reach that goal. I know it's a pretty big sacrifice, but hey, I need my focus. Now, you're probably thinking, Brad, what about your poor wife?
And it's funny, the sound engineer where I recorded it, I guess I did the ad with such a straight face. He said, "Is that true? Do you really do that?" And I said, "Man, of course not. I don't do that." But but we almost have a cult-like deal with our commercials where people really believe some of them, and they're all in jest. Trying to get them up further, Joey.
But when he's not being a cut-up on the air, this 53-year-old is competing in an equestrian event called cutting.
Being on a cutting horse, I kind of equate to when I was on a roller coaster as a kid when it scared the heck out of me.
He loves animals. In fact, I always said if the animals could give him sex, I'd be out the door.
Going on the radio and joking about sex with your wife, or better yet, lack thereof? Well, how about the reaction of the other person involved in all this, namely Mrs. Celibacy, or Mrs. Benson?
Well, if I don't get it at home, I'll just go somewhere else. Yeah.
I'm not done living. I mean, I've just begun. And I say a lot of times, I wish I could live twice because I'm having so much fun.
A second lifetime for Benson should be another wild ride. In Hillsborough, Joey Waller for the Jersey Sports Final.
Entering the '92 Olympics, Ron Carnow ranked second in the world in his event. Then in Barcelona, his father Peter suddenly died during the opening ceremonies. In the wee hours, Ron heard the tragic news from the U.S. Olympic Committee's vice chairman, George Steinbrenner.
At age 61, Peter Carnow suffered a massive heart attack while taking photos like this of Ron in the Olympic Stadium. Steinbrenner's moral and financial support would include paying Carnow's medical school tuition. They remained friends until Steinbrenner's death in 2010, with Carnow giving Steinbrenner this photo of his med school graduation, signed, "Thanks for making this possible. We did it."
He was portrayed as being a real tough owner in the baseball world, but there was a compassionate and soft side of him that really he had a heart of gold, and I can't thank him and his family enough for what they did for me over the years. Without their support, I wouldn't have been able to get through medical school and reach the goals that I did as a physician.
Steinbrenner's daughter Jennifer says just prior to his death, the boss wrote one final letter to Ron Carnow.
It was mailed after Steinbrenner died, sent from Tampa, Florida to Lebanon, New Jersey. A thank you note for a birthday gift Carnow had sent. Signed, George M. Steinbrenner III.
And George was a rare breed himself. I'm Joey Waller.
Are you Joey Waller? I follow you on Twitter. Awesome.
Where's the security? Oh, resorting to cheap skits just to draw Twitter followers. It's embarrassing. Have a great